You're ugly. You've been told as much by many people. And when you look in the mirror, you can't help but agree. But if you really are that ugly, how can you deal with this reality? How do you cope with being unattractive? You. Oh, okay. Yes.
Minasan, konnichiwa, I'm ICEE.
For today's video, as they said, I'll present you with an article of what I think is really, really nice to talk about and to explore with you guys. Hope you feel so special, Mike Whitcomb. Mike Whitcomb, the earth revolves not around you. No, but in all seriousness, guys, okay. In all seriousness. At first, I was really thinking about talking this particular topic and to make justice for the unattractive ones. And yes, it is brutal. It's going to be an honest tips. I personally feel that this article talks a lot, which is really, really like in the Philippine language. In Philippine slang, we called it real talk. Ayan, totoo lang. It's gonna hurt some of you guys. It's gonna trigger things that you didn't really talk about, just like me when I was reading this article. You know, being an unattractive person is something that a lot of us goes through. It doesn't even matter if you are really in the society, you are the stereotype of pretty or handsome. There's going to be a part of everyone, I would just say everyone, unless you have a mental disorder, which is a lot of people are throwing out there, which is the word narcissistic. Unless you have a disorder like that, you'll probably won't have a face like this. But I'm pretty sure not just me, all of us, most of the sane person in the world is once a kid and really didn't feel very secure, very secure about themselves. It's a process, it's a journey, and I want to talk this because we're all adult here, and from time to time we get to interact with the newer generation. And I think this is the time to not stigmatize the things that are gonna be explored in this article, because this is truth, this is mindset. Everyone goes through this, and I'm pretty sure everyone can relate. And one of the things that I was kind of like pondering upon, not that I'm saying this is true, there's a little bit of feeling of, is it really good to talk about this when some people thinks that I'm not unattractive? But in my opinion, I feel I relate to these articles so much that it's time. There's topics that you have to explore just because you experienced it or just because you're part of that group. But what about the people that aren't part of that group? How do they feel? How do they relate to these things? And that is kind of like what I wanted to bring in the table, to not stigmatize these things and to actually come from a good place of a good intention and relate it to a level that everyone can actually understand and explore for themselves. So let's go to what you are here for. Are you really here for that? Being unattractive and the brutal, ang brutal, I am brutal, honest tips that I ever seen and I've ever heard, but everything is on point. And hopefully you guys are also in the phase of what I'm pondering, of how I think, my mindset are in. So everyone can actually explore this with me. Make sure that if you get triggered, practice that sense of being rational. Why are you triggered? Why the things that are not supposed to be for you, but just because these words are being thrown and discussed, you get animosity. You get a feeling of you're being singled out. We have to practice exploring ourselves, who we are. Why does it bother you? Why does it hurt you? These things, if you can actually understand it for yourself, not for people or not to explain it for other people, just but for you, and you can accept it even if it hurts, that's actually the first step towards awareness. Dao. Oh, Dao, I am. But because that's why I said Dao is because I'm still doing it. I'm still practicing it. And so far, it's really getting me to a place where it's always peace. Like it doesn't, things doesn't bother me easily. And if it does, I can actually stop myself from being really angry. But at the same time, of course, there's always going to be something, someone, or some situation that you would lose your shit. And it does happen, but that's how we learn to the next level. So do not stigmatize the words that I'm going to say. Do not shame anybody. Just listen to what I'm going to read out to you guys and actually ponder it and explore it with me. Trigger alert, guys. So do not take things personally. So this is from A Conscious Rethink. This article is from that. I'll put the link in the description box down below if you do want to explore it and read it for yourself and kind of like ponder the thought and maybe share it with people that you think it's going to be beneficial for them to read this, because I really find it very interesting and on point. 10 brutally honest tips to deal with being ugly. And this is a hint, which is perspective matters. So this is where we're gonna practice our perspective in life, like things that we probably didn't think about. And this is what I learned from you guys. The writer is Steve Phillips Waller. So he says, "You're ugly. You've been told as much by many people. And when you look in the mirror, you can't help but agree. But if you really are that ugly, how can you deal with this reality? How do you cope with being unattractive?" Oh, diva, I like that. It's from there. So I would assume this is a meme. So when we talk about unattractiveness, there's always going to be the society's mainstream, the mainstream of what defines being unattractive. And we can talk unattractive physical, mental, emotional, sexual. There's a lot of unattractiveness. Ganon. There are a lot of things that I will never even think about, even for a sec. It wouldn't pass my brain, as they say, my brain, because my brain doesn't get that to that level. So when you talk about it to other people, then they can tell you and then they can explain things and then you can learn more. So that's how I kind of view things around me. So this is last updated on March 7th, 2024. Serious topic na. Plastic surgery is always an option. Oh, dude. See, guys, see this brutal, honest, just be real with me. If we feel embarrassed, if we feel shamed, let's not shame each other. But at least be accountable of the words you're gonna throw. I don't want hate speech in this. We can joke, find words, use the vocabulary of English or Tagalog to express a joke or a humor or anything of that sort. Don't just go to the very easy hate speech. Find more words to explore. So, hold on to your seatbelts because here we go. And number 1 in the list. Brutal honest tips, number 1. In the spirit of honesty, let's not be patronizing. Whilst beauty is partly subjective, there is also something objective about it too. Each of us has a certain look which may or may not be to everyone's taste. But if you were to ask, imagine this, guys, if you were to ask 100 people to rate the beauty of any individual out of 10, which in my Discord, guys, if you're not in my Discord, guys, sometimes we talk things like this. I actually says ranking game and it's supposedly called rating game. So 1 to 10. Thank you guys for people who are actually sharing this stream on their community, on their Facebook, on their social media. I do appreciate all the love and support. I really, really do. Without you guys, I wouldn't be continuing this. I'll probably would be like, well, kind of like that. But because you guys are very supportive, it gives me that fuel to do more. So thank you for that. So if you were to ask 100 people to rate the beauty of any individual out of 10, you'd likely see scores that cluster around certain points on the scale. So one person may score everywhere or anywhere between 4 and a 7. But the majority of ratings would probably be a 5 or 6. Perhaps you score between 1 and 4, with a majority rating you as a 2 or a 3. Let's not beat around the bush. You are on the less attractive end of the scale. And you probably hate it when people try to convince you otherwise. They say things like, "You're beautiful in your own way." I've been told like this before. I felt it. Or, "You're unique." Oh my God. And all you hear in these cliches is insincerity disguised as politeness. Hence, Japan. Believe it. Forgive them, for they know not what they say. Let's face it, telling someone that they are unattractive is not easy. Unless you really know someone and how they might react, it's natural to err on the side of caution. But let's take it at a face value. And if you'll excuse the pun and accept that you are indeed a relatively ugly person on the surface, your first question may be, ayan, a brutal honesty number 2. Why am I so ugly? Bring it. JQ, I'm scared na. I am, but don't hit too hard, okay? ICEE fit. The southern part of the US, the older generation would say, "Bless your heart," as if to say everything else is not worth mentioning. Oh, bless your heart. Oh, so if someone tell me, and I could just say that, "Bless your heart." What's the intonation should be? "Bless your heart," or is it "Bless your heart," and then walk away like that? So let's see. What are you talking about? Oh my God, I'm gonna get canceled. A thick layer of foundation is poor person. Aray ko put. ICEE was lucky to be blessed as... Oh, how do you know that's my keyword? Huh? How do you know that word is going to tickle me? Thank you. The floral top looks slick too. Oh, yes. This is like, Don't fuck with me. It's all fun. Don't take things personal. I'm ready. So let's do this.